was just looking through this yoga anatomy textbook at some of the different asanas that I'm going to share with you guys today. This is yoga for athletes. If you're someone who does a lot of running or maybe basketball, in particular, this is going to be one that's going to be good for you. So yeah, let's get ready and begin. First, start with a few centering breaths. Deep breaths in and out. And you can imagine yourself fogging up a glass screen in front of you on your exhale. And then trying that with your mouth closed with the same breath. Okay. First we'll start with a seated twist. So inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, twist to the right. Deep inhales and exhales. Keep breathing. And on an inhale, you release and come back to center. Take an inhale, lengthen the spine again. And on an exhale, twist to the left. And you can always imagine your inhale as expansion of your joints and your muscles and your whole body, really. And exhale as contraction and deepening into whatever asana you may be in. Inhale, come back to center. Now we'll put our right elbow to the mat, or whatever is accessible. Your right palm on the right side, in line with the mat now. So whatever is accessible. And as you inhale, reach over your ear and across your head. It's straight out. And as you exhale, imagine yourself just sending your hand out along the same plane. On an inhale, reach and twist. On an exhale, you wipe down. And you do that a few times with your breath, and you feel the stretch somewhere along the right side here. It's good for people who sit down a lot as well, actually. Don't get to stretch that area of your torso. And last but not least, the big inhale now, open up and twist. And on the exhale, come back to center. Taking a breath, observing any changes or differences. Just making sure y'all can hear me. Alright, we'll do the other side. Left hand to the mat, and your left elbow towards the mat, to wherever is accessible. And on an inhale, you know what to do. Reach, reach, reach across and over, keeping your neck somewhat supported. The integrity that is. Big inhale, and as you exhale, you wipe across. Inhale, reach. Exhale, you wipe across. Inhale, reach. Exhale, you wipe across. Inhale, reach, 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 and twist. And make sure you can keep your right glute, so your right hip on the mat as much as possible. And last but not least, once more, twist, open. As you exhale, come back to center. So you can see some of the differences here now. Okay, so next we're going to do the seated bound angle pose. So from where you are, bring your feet to touch. Hands to your feet or your ankle. As you inhale, you straighten your back. As you exhale, begin to bring your chest towards your feet, I guess. And you deepen the stretch in your hips. Especially good for people who spend a lot of time expending explosive energy from their legs, your hips. You can even rock side to side. And just remember, as you inhale, imagine expansion, and as you exhale, continue to contract with each breath, ever so slightly. As you inhale, you come back up to center. So now from here, you bring your right shin parallel to the mat, to the side. Your left shin parallel to the front of your mat. Bringing your hips towards square with the mat. Mine are pretty tight, obviously. You know, not everybody started doing yoga at age 12. Some of us are just getting into this, and I hope this is sort of a softer intro for people who just want to start getting into yoga a bit, and maybe those who are also just looking for some general physical activity at home. So, just a caveat for this leg here outside, your left leg in this instance, you can always bring the ankle in, if that makes it easier for you. Keep your ankles flexed, as always, to protect them. You don't want any wonky joints. Keep breathing, deep breaths in and out. When you've situated yourself, you can begin to lean forward, and you feel the stretch in your front of your hip here. Keep breathing. Remember, as you inhale, expand, and exhale, you can begin to deepen as you bring your torso towards the front, or I guess the side of the mat. But more importantly, keeping your hips square and not trying to force yourself, to maybe reach the mat and, you're just really lumping the weight forward. You want to keep stretching this left hip and keep leaning towards a balanced center. You'll probably be leaning a bit to the side, maybe if you're someone like me. But let's see. As you keep inhaling and exhaling, deepening into the stretch. Leaning as much as possible towards your left knee. Incredible. On an inhale, come back up. Remember the deep breaths we talked about. Some people call them Ujjayi breaths. So now, as you come out of the last pose, bring your left ankle to your left knee, to your right knee. And just allow this left knee to sort of hang here, wherever it does. And you find that perhaps if you rest your hand on your knee here, it begins to add a bit of weight, a bit of pressure. So breathe in, remember to lengthen through the spine. Flexing your left ankle. Keep breathing. Yeah, this is a good one for, this one is a very good one for runners. Keep breathing. Just keep allowing your knee to come towards your foot here or even the mat. Keep breathing. This is a tough one, I know. Using that Ujjayi breath. And if it's accessible to you, you can begin to lean forward. On an inhale, come back out of that sana. Woo. Maybe you give your hips or your hip crease a little massage there. Send a bit of blood back into there. Blood back into there. Okay, switch to the other side. So now your left shin is parallel to the side of your mat. For me, the front, whatever you decide. Your right shin parallel to the front. I guess the back. Now, keep breathing. So at first what you really want to do is just try and bring yourself to center, and you find there's already so much going on. So much going on in the outside hip here. Keep breathing. If you have a block, it's even better. You just put your hand on the block and just support yourself there. Or you can get on your tips of your fingernails or your fingers and just kind of send your torso and thus your hip towards square. You just feel that stretch. So it's more the outer hip here. So that's why we do this side and the front. So you just keep breathing. As always, you can bring in your shin here towards your hips. Keep breathing. And you can begin to maybe lean forward now. You feel that stretch transferring towards the front of the hip. So you see, for me, I'm doing everything I can to just make sure that all the forward leaning I'm doing is not just me leaning forward to the left. So I have to make an effort to use my left hand to continue to support the stretch, leaning towards my right hip, leaning into my right hip. And then inhale, come back up. Again on the other side, fire log pose. Your right ankle to your left knee. Hips square on the mat. Oh, yeah, it's not easy. I know. Shit. Okay. So you bring your right knee towards your right ankle. Deep breaths. So you might find that one side's much easier than the other. I know I've got an injury here, so it's a lot tighter. Okay, keep breathing. And yeah, just a note on injuries: if you feel any sort of sharp pain, and there's a difference between sensation from a stretch and just overstretching where you are. So if you feel that coming on, just take a little step back. Remembering to inhale as you expand, and as you exhale, you can contract and deepen into whatever position it is you're in. Maybe bringing your elbows towards the mat, wherever is accessible, and you find that there's even a stretch in your right glutes as well. Okay, come back out. Let's just bring Feet towards the front side of the mat now. Shake out our legs a bit. Our knees have been, quite frankly, pronated for far too long now. So maybe you do another hammy massage. Shake it out. Okay. And on an inhale, staff pose. Vertical back, extending from the spine, legs straight. You should kind of look like an L. And exhale, on an exhale, forward fold. So you just bring your hands towards your feet. Might be on your knees, might be on your shins. And you just allow yourself to lean forward while keeping some sort of integrity in this straightness of your back. So you don't just lean into it just yet. You begin to pull your chest forward, keeping your chest somewhat up. Maybe your hand gets to your knees or your ankles or your feet even. Begin to inhale and expand, remember, and as you exhale, you can deepen even more. Perhaps your knees might bend a little. That's perfectly fine. Safer actually if you do that. And wherever you're stretching to, that's fine. You just keep breathing and allow your breath to do the work. Yeah, I know this is a very, very good one for, when you're done from a run or biking, maybe even basketball, You're always using your hamstrings to propel yourself. On an inhale, flat back, and on an exhale now, you can lean into it. And we'll be here for 5 breaths. And begin to roll up as you inhale. So from here, we're going to go into boat pose. Bring your feet and your ankles in line with your knees, first of all. So you lean back a little bit. You're probably already feeling it. Just remember to breathe. And if it's accessible, you can stretch out and straighten your legs. Keep breathing. Maybe you turn to one side. And then the other. Come back to center. come down. Relax. Now, from here, you roll back. Plow pose. So, on an exhale, come to the middle. On an exhale, send your knees towards the back of the mat and your feet to wherever is accessible. Interlacing your fingers maybe, or just pushing down. And eventually you want to get to a place where your feet are touching the mat. You're breathing deeply into your back. This is a good back stretch actually. Roll back out. We'll do the second boat pose now. You know what to do. You lean back, maybe supporting your ankles, interlacing behind your knees. If that's accessible to you, you can straighten out your hands. Oof. You want to straighten your legs. Keep breathing. We'll be here for 3 more breaths. Okay. So now let's come on our hands and knees. Woo. Oh boy. That's a lot, I know. First, look out at your right ankle, letting your hips come out to the left. And then the other side, your left ankle, hips coming out to the right. Now we'll do this again. The right side and the left. On an inhale, cow pose. Lift your chest up and forward, neck up to the sky, hips up. And on an exhale, cat pose. Send your hips down and forward now, and round your back. We'll do this 4 more times. Inhale, cat. Exhale, cow at your own pace. Okay. So from here, we'll do a chest opener and a bit of a back bend, camel pose. So your hands on your hips, leaning back, and sending your hips forward the entire time. You can feel this stretch in your back. Opening, sending your elbows towards each other as well. Feel that opening of the chest. If it's accessible to you, you can even put your hands on your heels or your ankles while sending your hips forward still. If you want, Let your head hang. And inhale, come back up. Good. So from here we're going to go into seal pose. Seal pose. So what you want to do is lie down or just bring the front of your body to the mat. Hands at the corners here. And on an inhale, push into the mat. Send your chest up and forward. Seal pose. Releasing any sort of tension or contraction of your glutes. Just pushing your chest up and forward. And that just allows your lower back to get a bit of a stretch too. Keep breathing. And on an exhale or inhale, come into Sphinx pose. Bring your forearms to the mat in parallel with your body. Send your shoulders down and relax. Your chest up and forward. Deep inhales and exhales. And you can let your head hang. Maybe roll your neck side to side. Maybe roll your head in circles. Whew. Deep inhales and exhales. So here we'll do a bit of a quad stretch. So bring your right forearm in parallel with the front of the mat. Your left hand comes to grab your right foot and begin to push that foot now into the front of the mat. And that's just a good stretch for the front of your quads. If it's accessible to you, bring your hands on the mat, push up, getting a deeper stretch in your back there as well. Do 5 breaths. And you know what comes next? The other side. Push, push, push. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Keep breathing. For me, I know this part of my body is tighter and my back is tighter there. And again, if you want, just bring your hand down, push up. Try not to lock your arm. One big breath and release. On an inhale now, child's pose. Bring your ankles to touch. Open up your hips. Open up your knees, sorry. Send your hips back towards your ankles. Breathing deeply. So coming back up now, send our feet to the front of the mat. Send our backs down. So, happy baby. Index fingers to your toes. Sending your ankles out, and perhaps even rocking from side to side a little bit. Happy baby. Something I do is I use my elbow and my knees to just support the pose and make sure as much as possible that my hip is as close to the mat so I'm not leaning or bending my back in an attempt to deepen the stretch. 3 more breaths. So send your left foot out now. Pull your left knee towards your chest and towards your shoulder. Massaging your right knee. Massaging the front of your right hip there. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, send your right knee to the left side. Keeping your right shoulder on the mat. As you inhale, expand, and you exhale, you can deepen the stretch, making sure your left your left shoulder is always on the mat. And just allowing your right knee to veer towards the left side. And it might even touch the ground, who knows, but we don't force, we flow. So wherever it's accessible, I know my right knee never touches it. Well, not never, but it's a stretch. No pun intended. Three last breaths here. On an inhale, you come back to center. Exhale, left knee to your chest. And then again, you just send your knee out towards your shoulder and back towards your chest, massaging that hip. Oof. Inhale to the shoulder, exhale to the chest. One big inhale again as you open it up, and as you exhale, send your left knee all the way out towards your right side. This time, keep your left shoulder on the mat as always. Towards the right side, and if it touches the ground, fantastic. And if not, it's just as fantastic as well. Maybe looking out towards your left hand. Deep inhales and exhales. Come back to center now. Just play with the S of your back and see if you can get it flat on the mat. It's a nice little massage there. And as you exhale now, bring your knees to your chest. Big inhale. And as you exhale, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze. As you inhale, final pose, Shavasana. You want to be in this pose as long as you can, really. Let your breath return to normal. You can observe the sensations in your body. Feel any changes, any movements that have happened internally. Any space that you found in your breath. So we begin to wiggle our fingers, wiggle our toes, and we roll to one side, use your arm to support yourself back up. Coming to where we started. Easy seat. I'll invite you to go into a meditation immediately after this practice. And if you don't have the time, you can close here by bringing your hands to heart center. Setting an intention for the day. Hands to your forehead, and if you lean forward, the light in me, she's the light in you. Namaste.